What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Res Talk. My name is Sam. Breaking news from Ornstein. He has dropped a bomb regarding Liam Delap. We're going to get into that. But first of all, let me introduce my constant co-host, Shreyas. How are we?
Yeah, doing fairly well. Nice to see Adam back after a while as well.
Yeah, just introduce this guy if you haven't seen him before, because he's not been on the channel for God knows how long. We found him behind a bin, drinking whiskey. Adam, how are we? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and probably since the last time I've been on, there's a few more grey hairs after watching
Yeah.
a lot of United in that Europa League final. But no, it's been quite a journey. It has, and I'm glad that journey's come to an end this season. Train wreck of a season. So, look, we're making moves in the transfer window. It's needed to happen, and look, it's not all positive news with this news coming out, and that some people, it's their ideal choice, but look, at least we're trying to do business early as well, because many times we've been in August and we're like, here, will you make a move?
Literally panicking, going, I don't know who to sign. But yeah, and again, like me and Shreyas said off camera, there's literally just been a bit of breaking news regarding Liam Delap, so we'll fully go into all that. So about an hour ago, David Ornstein brokered that United and other teams have been informed that Liam Delap has chosen Chelsea as his preferential team. And then 30 seconds ago, Ornstein again, Chelsea strike total agreement with Ipswich Town to sign Liam Delap, activate 30 million release clause in his contract, personal terms completed, no problem anticipated. Let's go to you first, Adam, because me and Shreyas have sort of talked about this all week. What's your feeling on that? I know a lot of people weren't too happy with the idea of Delap signing unexperienced striker, but the price point fitted really well, Premier League proven. How are you feeling?
Look, I've kind of delved into the stats as well, and he did underperform his XG, and that's something that I think all our forwards have been doing. So my ideal choice is someone who's actually overperforming, and that's like in an Ipswich team where if they create chances, they need to score, and that's one of the reasons maybe why they've gone down. They haven't scored enough. As Michael Owen would say, if you score, the team that scores the most goals wins. But look, I'm not bummed down about it, but like we've said it for so many years now, the transfer market for strikers is just terrible. It is. And to get someone like that, who's Premier League proven, cheap, who could have been an option, that up and coming, it is a bit of a blow. Chelsea obviously going for him because they see something in him, and we see something in him as well. But I'm not overly bummed down about it, because I think there might be a better option there. And look, I know we're focusing, like the focus is now on Buemo, and he can also operate through the middle, but I don't want him to be our sole striker.
Yeah.
I'd rather him run on the right. But look, if it was between one or the other, I would go with Buemo.
Yeah. Shreyas, I'm going to ask Adam a follow-up question, but before I do, yeah, how are you feeling? Because obviously we've been through it this week. There was links saying we've agreed a framework and it's looking positive. United think that deal was going to be a thing, but obviously now it's done. It's going to Chelsea. Apparently they're still in for Ekitike as well, Chelsea, which is madness to me. I don't know what's going on there, but there's that.
What's the prize money for the conference?
I know, Jesus Christ. How are you feeling? Disappointed? Are you happy that we can now finally move on to another target? Like, where you at?
Happy that we can move on to another target. And this team requires much more than what Delap would bring right now. This needs someone with experience. This team needs someone who can soak up all the pressure in that attack and take the pressure off the youngsters. And at the same time, they also need someone who has got the expertise of actually, being in those moments, being in those situations where if the team is not performing that well, you can act as the talisman for your team and actually get the team going, prove to be a catalyst in that attack. So Delap has just had one season in the Prem, so I think it would have been a very big of a gamble to once again go in for a young striker who isn't that experienced. And again, you'll be shifting the entire responsibility of being a Manchester United number 9 to a 21-year-old.
Yeah. Follow-up question I wanted to ask Adam. Say, we, like you said, we spoke off camera in August. Normally we're sort of scrambling down for someone. Say the season starts and we still haven't got a striker sorted, and Delap has already scored a goal or scoring a couple of goals for Chelsea. Are we then going to be sat here going, should have pushed harder for Delap, should have tried harder? Are we going to be sat doing that?
That's one of the few things. Like, hindsight can be great, but like, you have to see it in it. I won't judge off the first couple of games. Like, if he has a good few and we don't have a, I suppose, a striker signed at the moment. The most important thing, I think, will be, are we actually picking up points at the start of the season? Because if it's more of the same that's been going on, I think the pressure then will build like that. You should have gone for him. And it's not even just on the manager, I think, that pressure. I think it'll come to the board level. Why didn't you push them for this deal?
Yep.
And then the board are going to be under pressure. So I think it's the right choice to kind of take the step. Well, we haven't really taken the step back. It's just that he prefers Chelsea, and just because they're in the Champions League. And I think we could have had, if we qualified for the Champions League, I think we were in pole position for better players than him. So it kind of says as well, like, is he going to be that, starting striker for Chelsea? Like, is he guaranteed that, where he'd be nearly guaranteed it at us? Because what's his competition, Hoyland, at the moment. So, like, it's just about ambition. Do you want to start regularly, or do you want to maybe, be in a rotational basis for a team that, let's be honest, you're not going to win the Champions League next year anyway?
No.
So, like, maybe give it a year. Like, I think maybe he's made the wrong decision there. I'm happy with it because I'd rather someone else, but like, I think for the lad himself, he would have gotten more game time with United.
Yeah, I think it's probably a Chelsea thing. Like 30 million is quite cheap for a potential prospect, and they're probably looking to flip him 2-3 years down the line. Sell him for 50, 60 million to someone and make a profit, because that's what they're about. Really, that's how they operate. But have a look at the comments. Raynator, he's just saying the news that I've just sort of got on with. Anonymous Mango, shout out to you. Muppeteer saying Osman links are false. United are working on deals for Mbeumo. Gyökeres with Mbeumo currently the priority. Raynator, happy we've not signed him. Delap, given the pool of strikers available. The lad's younger than Rasmus, and we can't afford another young player whose development is unknown. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of feelings of that. And speaking of young strikers, this is the point of this video. Obviously, it led with the Delap story, and this is kind of what sparked the idea. And people going, oh, who do we sign? Who do we sign? Well, these two lads are going to tell you who we're going to sign, because they are going to be our scouts. I am going to be our sporting director, so I suppose that makes me Omar Barada or Jason Wilcox, whoever you sort of want to assign to it. And we're going to pick a striker from the two options these two lads are going to pick each. Obviously, there might be a crossover, so if there is that, they have got backups just in case. And I'm going to chuck a couple of names in the hat just to sort of stir the pot a little bit, and then we'll put a vote up on social media, and you guys can vote for who we should go sign. Obviously, we have no bearing on anything at United. This is just for fun.
We used to have, like, 2 years back.
We did. Yeah, the only people who sort of follow us are Toby Collier, and I think that is it. I think maybe there's somebody else, but yeah, they're the only United players who follow us. So there you go. Right, let's start with Adam. Adam, give me your first option, mate.
Okay, so I had two names I did, and I was like, okay, this is looking good. Stats are good. You're looking at free agent there as well.
Yeah.
And then I realized one of them signed for AC Milan and one of them is signing for Napoli, according to today.
Yeah.
So I wasted about 20-25 minutes there getting all the stats and everything, why he'd be good. So that went out the window. So I kind of looked into the Premier League, and I was thinking, okay, maybe a youngster there. And we were linked with him in the past, and maybe it's a bit of bias here, but I think it's a bit of the injury is what kind of gives us the ick. Yeah. And look, the name it's famous within our club anyway. It's always good to have one around. But my choice for one of my two is Evan Ferguson. Yeah, like he's a tall lad, quite physical. He's fast as well. The only concern is the injury.
Yep.
And especially being young. So I have a few stats. Like the fee, you're thinking it is going to be about 50 to 60. That's, I think, right now. I think it has dropped considerably,
down,
though.
Weren't they saying like 80?
Yeah, just
like
2 years ago, Brighton wanted 100 mil for him.
Yeah. So it has dropped a bit, and he's still relatively young. He's playing. I know he hasn't really played consistent now in that Brighton team. Welbeck kind of started more in a couple of seasons, but I think, like, if you can get the best out of him, like, I'm looking at it, like his work rate's good. he kind of links the play as well. And I should have some stats here in the back. Like for this season, okay, he done 16 starts, 8 substitute appearances, and he got 7 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah.
It's not setting the world alight, but if you look at, I suppose, 16 starts, 7 goals, 1 assist, like that isn't the worst.
Almost 1 in 2. Almost 1 in 2.
Yeah, almost 1 in 2 for like a relatively young player in the Premier League too. And all the talk has been about Delap, and Delap has been kind of leading Ipswich's line for the season, while Ferguson has been on the bench for a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
So like aerial duels won 1.8 per 90, which is a 52% success rate. That's one we want. For me, I think we need someone good in the air. Like we've seen it with Ruben Amorim,
just someone who
Gyökeres
could win a header. Just someone who could win.
I know,
like Jesus
someone
Christ.
who can probably just jump.
Yeah,
one that can jump. It frustrates the life out of me watching Hoyland. Like I can't remember him winning a header, honestly.
No.
Like as bad as it is, like the amount of times I've seen Onana kick long and he's failed to win the header. So just someone like that who's a bit more tall. Let's see what else. Passes received under pressure per 90 it is. So 6.5, which is quite good for link up play.
Yeah.
I don't have Hoyland's one. I'd love to actually see that.
I can't imagine
because I'm
good.
sure it's not great. So that's one of the reasons I went for him. And let's see what was one of the other parts. Capable of holding the ball up from long balls up the pitch from defenders. Like we know Maguire. I think Maguire's going to be still around, obviously.
Yeah.
He likes to pass in him, switch it, and also get out in the channels. Like you want your kind of striker to make these runs, like drag the defenders out, and especially when going long. And I think he has that pace to do that and the strength as well. So he'd be my first 1 out of 2. I don't know. Do you want me to go 2 out of 2 or?
Well, no. We'll sort of discuss him. Yeah, like you said, the only worry is the injuries, because when he'd been starting for Brighton, like when he's coming through when he's 17, 18, he looked phenomenal. Like he looked like the next big thing. Obviously, we were linked with him. I believe he is a United fan as well, I think, growing up, which always helps. Cunha joined us with No European Football because he's a United fan, so it always helps. Like, so he did have a bit of it. He went on loan to West Ham, didn't he, from Brighton this year, and he didn't really have a good sort of time at West Ham, again, with the injuries. The injuries is a big thing for me. I think if you can get him fit, I think you've got somebody there who could potentially do something. It's just the injuries are a big worry for me. That is like the big sort of thing, especially if you're paying 40, 50 million for someone. Like if there's a lot of injuries, it sort of concerns. We don't need another Anthony Martial on our hands, you know what I mean? Where it's just like constantly waiting for him to be fit. But yeah, Shreyas, like any sort of thoughts on Evan Ferguson?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, no doubt about it. Rated very highly at Brighton. I think the way he's just, fell down the pecking order is a bit scary, because just 2 years back, he was probably one of the names on every top 6 teams striker targets. Like, you must get this kid, must get this kid. And just 1 year in, he's nowhere to be seen. And again, the only problem I have with this deal, again, one is definitely the injuries, and secondly, he's way too young. Again, can't have another young striker, have him, get adapt himself to the environment and the club. A developmental striker who we need to work very closely with. We've seen the script before. I just think if it works out, definitely you've got a striker for probably the next 10 seasons at your hand. But again, we are in a very, very difficult position right now, and especially for a young striker, the kind of pressure that he'd have to handle, after what has happened to Hoyland, would be too much for him.
Just before you respond, Adam, there's a couple of comments. Raynator, Mateta, Watkins, Osman, Gyökeres, any of those 4 will be happy. G-Native official, Delap is not that good. We need experience, not one-hit wonders. Raynator, Hoyle will not start for any team that he's featuring in an all-star game. Atalanta are greatest magician since Houdini for getting 70 million from us. Jesus Christ. We can't be spending 60 million on a young striker who's had a big injury and needs another season at the level of Brighton. MUFC free for MUFC forever. Hello to you. Delap is the worst player playing in Ipswich once Champions League. I wouldn't say he's the worst player in Ipswich. I think he's the best player in Ipswich, I would argue. But
one of the best.
Look, he wants Champions League football, and Chelsea have offered it him. So he's got what he wanted,
Yeah.
so he can demand it, and he's got what he wanted. But yeah, anything to
What
sort
about
of
his
like
father?
Oh, Rory.
Yeah, can we bring him for the throw-ins?
Yeah, throw-ins, just for the throw-ins. But yeah, anything to sort of follow up on Ferguson that we sort of just brought up, or
I suppose just the only thought I had, the killer for me, is if we were at that level, you know, competing at the top, winning titles still, Isaac will be like, it doesn't matter, we break the bank for him, and he come in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But we've fallen so much in the last 10 years that we're now being turned down by a relegated team striker.
Yeah.
I never thought the day would be this bad. But in terms of Ferguson, yeah, it's the injuries that's the killer. I think he needs that one good season injury free.
Yeah.
You know, maybe get more consistency, and like, he's still young. He's only 20.
Yeah, you've got the thing as well that Brighton, João Pedro's might be leaving this summer, so then maybe Ferguson does get an opportunity this next year, because obviously Welbeck is not getting any younger. Maybe he gets an opportunity next season if João Pedro does move on. So maybe that's the year next year. Shreyas, give us your first one, mate. Who have you got?
For me, the first one I have gone with is Jonathan Burkhardt from Mainz in the Bundesliga.
That's not a name I've heard of.
Again, that's the reason I've gone with him, because he's not someone who, I think even when people think of the Bundesliga, the first names that come to their mind are definitely going to be Harry Kane, your Sekou Guirassys from Dortmund, and all these guys. He's someone who's got 21 goal contributions this season, 18 in the league alone. And apart from that, when it comes to this system, we need someone who's very aggressive when it comes to pressing from the front with the 2 10s behind them. And he's someone who's actually, been very decent, because he's made 73 ball recoveries from that number 9 position just in the league itself. And apart from that as well, when it comes to his shot conversion rate as well, he's got a 25% shot conversion rate. He's had 72 opportunities and he's converted 18 goals.
Wow.
Again, aerially, he doesn't look like that much of a tall figure, but very good aerially. Technically, very, very sound and gifted. Has a very good technique of hold-up play, which we've been crying out loud for. Gotcha. But if you have to compare him to Xerxes, he's just got the pace to actually bank up with it. If he does win the ball, if he is good with his feet as well, he's got the pace to actually, make the most of it and capitalize on a mistake. And at the same time, when it comes to his physical attributes as well, which we've really wanted in the box, that's someone who doesn't really get struck off too easily. He's got that as well. And being a 24-year-old, even if it doesn't work out for us, you're not in a position that, he's 34 or 35 and you can't really get anything out of him, runs out his contract and leaves. And I think right now he's rated around 35 million. So every single thing for me right now, is a check, because if it doesn't work out, not that much of a loss. Yep. If it works out, again, you've got a striker for like 6 to 7 seasons in. And I think when you get players for around that sort of fee, the pressure is quite lower. And in this system, he'd actually work out quite well, because one thing that is also really good for him, he likes to take first touch shots. Doesn't really, ping around the ball a lot. Ball comes in, bang, he's going with a goal.
Awesome. Is there any issue of sort of injuries or anything like that? Has he got a good injury record? Or
he's played 29 matches last season.
Okay.
So, and 21 before it. He had one big injury in the 21-22 season. But since that, he's racked up around 70-75 appearances in the past 3 seasons itself.
So he's consistent, and he's playing consistently, which is, something.
The one problem there is that there's going to be a bit of competition for him.
Right, so there's other clubs already interested in him. I'm going to assume Bayern Munich are looking at him, or Dortmund.
Bayern Munich are looking at him. Liverpool are looking at him, but not too aggressively. He's an option that they are definitely looking at. And right now, United have not exploded, but this is an option that if we move quickly with it, like with the way we've presented a deal for Delap, if we went in with the same aggressive approach, you could get this done within like 3 to 4 days.
We could steal the march on him before. Goes to that next level, because obviously we've had that before, haven't we? Sesko, we could have got for 2 million, and then you're going to Salzburg. Julian Alvarez ends up going to City. Like, we've had a history of these players where we could have gotten for cheap and they turned out to be excellent. So it's been a history that we've had throughout the years. I've not heard of this guy, Adam. Like, he seems like he's too good to be true. I don't know if you know anything about him.
What's his name again?
Jonathan Burkhart.
Burkhart. Okay. I just want to have a look. I know I'm pure judgmental on the look. Would he look good in red?
Does he look
That's
like
the
a
big
striker?
test. Yeah. Does he look like a striker? Jonathan. What's his surname again?
Burkhart.
Burkhart. Oh,
Burkhart.
Oh, I see him. Yeah, I would never have spelt that. I could see him in red. I could see him in red. Yeah, you know, lady in red, man in red.
He's the new Phil Jones.
That's Adam's quality as a striker. Does he look good in a red kit? All right, cool. Sign him.
He's good enough. He's already better than Hoyland.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, his
stats there. Yeah, stats there
really
look good. Consistent starts and what they call it, not notably for the injury. And I think injury's an important part because was it only a couple seasons ago we were hampered for so long?
Yeah.
I remember it being bare bones at that time. The only thing is now we're not going to have many games to play.
Yeah.
So there'll be a bit of a turnaround. Except probably the cup competitions early in the year. That's going to be new to us. Not used to that.
Entering in it like the second round or something.
Second round.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that could be an under the kind of, under the table deal there.
No, I like that. I like the idea of stealing the march on somebody who's potentially going to break out before anybody knows about him. Obviously, you had that Garassi who was it Stuttgart? He was like, smashing it, and then Dortmund snatched him, and now he's doing absolute numbers for them. Like, we need to do more of that sort of deals where a player is starting to be on the come up and then go and get him before they end up somewhere else. And like Ekitike's had one good season, he's 100 million player now. Like, it's just it's madness. So yeah, I think we need more players. I like that option. That's a really interesting option. One option I wanted to throw in, like, this is just not an official one, but one I was sort of looking into before Adam was going to come on the show. Victor Boniface. I looked into Victor Boniface. So obviously we know he plays for Bayer Leverkusen. A lot of those players are leaving. Obviously with Xabi Alonso going, and Florian Wirtz is on his way. Frimpong's already gone.
Ten Hag. You're like, no.
Yeah.
Can't be having
but
that.
yeah, he's a really good option, I think. So I'll just go through a couple of stats. 14 goals in 23 appearances, which I think is a pretty decent record. 38 million roundabouts. He's also attracted interest from a few different clubs. Obviously won the title with Xabi Alonso in 23-24. Physical presence, pace, clinical finishing, leads the line, contributes to the team. He's only 23. Immediate impact, so he's coming straight into the team. He's obviously got long-term potential. He's played in Europe before, which is not really an issue for us, but maybe in the future. So he could adapt really well to the Premier League. The only thing I sort of found that might be an issue, he had a massive hip injury last year, which cost him quite a bit of the season. So that might be a concern if that sort of like reared its head. But yeah, he's got all the physical attributes necessary, I think, to sort of transfer over. His transfer fee's not that bad. It's only 8 million more than Delap. And I think he could be more cost effective than the likes of like an Osman or somebody like that. So I just wanted to chuck him in because I think he could be a good option. So yeah, Victor Boniface.
Very tall as well.
He's a big lad.
I just looked up the height.
He's a big lad.
Big lad. And I was going to say, I want to see a big lad. So I want to see someone tall that can actually, who can win headers.
Pat Mayer's put in the chat, bring back Weghorst. If you want a tall lad, bring back Weghorst.
Well, I feel like he wasn't as bad as Hoyland.
Oh, no.
Like, I remember us laughing.
He contributed to the team.
Yeah, he did. He did, yeah. He actually dropped deep and he would play.
Yeah, did score, but he contributed to the team. No. So there is that. But yeah, Adam, give us your second one, mate.
Okay, look, you're going to look at me now. A bit odd. Yeah, it's a name that I don't think many will pull out of the hat. But I kind of had a look around, like, cheap. And I think he's free agent actually as well. So everyone loves a redemption arc, okay?
If the words Lukaku are coming out of your mouth, mate, I'm going to kill you.
No, it's probably going to be worse.
Oh, God.
Now, it is someone who's caused us heartbreak in the past when we thought we were on the edge of a title race before.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're getting a wee bit worried here. Calvert-Lewin.
Interesting. Are you just picking injury-prone players at this point, Adam? Like, just players with one leg, just limping around the pitch. Like, this is...
It can't be worse than Højlund at this point. It can't.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm. Go on, give us the lowdown.
Look, he's tall. He is good in the air. He's 28. I know it's kind of on that pushing, kind of that edge of striker's prime. Yeah. Everton, he's kind of fallen out of order there. Obviously, with the injuries don't help.
Isn't he out of contract as well? I'm sure he's out
of
contract.
He's a free agent in next month.
Yeah.
So there's that side of like, for me, you could get him alongside someone else, so you always have the backup there.
Yeah.
I think we need depth up top. His contract expires at the end of the month. It does. So you're looking there, you're thinking, okay, look, that's someone who's cheap. You just pay the wages, maybe a signing on bonus. But his league stats this season, like he has 8 goals, 2 assists, 26 appearances, so 10 goal contributions in 26, which isn't as awful as you may think.
Yeah, he sort of fell down the pecking order, didn't he? With Beto had a sort of run of form, didn't he? So he sort of fell down the pecking order quite a bit.
But some of the big stats, like aerial duels 1 per 90, 3.1, which with a 64% success rate.
He's very good in the air. Very good.
It's very good in the air. Passes received under pressure 6.7 per 90, which is linking up the play. And expected goals 7.6, so he did outperform his XG, which I know I said it earlier. I think we underperformed in everyone up front underperformed in that department. So, like, he's not a name that's going to, like, scream, "Oh, we're back," in a sense. But look, he's free. He could be for us, and he's Premier League proven. He knows how to score goals in the league. He's good in the air. He's not overly fast. He can link up the play. And I'm thinking about homegrown. I was thinking you had to have a certain amount of English players in the team, but they got rid of that rule, didn't they, a while ago?
Yeah, but he does, like, he doesn't take up a foreign player spot, does he? Because he's English.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So there's that side of it too. But it's not a name that everybody's going to be happy about. But look, if you can get a redemption arc out of someone, it might be him.
I've got a positive and a negative. Negative is, again, injuries. The injury concern is massive because he's not been able to stay fit at all at Everton at any point during his career. And that worries me to death because if he does come to United, say we don't bring somebody else in and he's the one that comes in, you've got Højlund who can't score a goal for the life of him. And then you've got Calvert-Lewin who can score, but he's never going to be able to be fit. So it's just, you know what I mean?
The two together.
Yeah, just put blend them together. But I like you thinking, like, this is the sort of thinking United have got to do. We've got to go find people like this where you might not think, it's not a superstar. It's not Victor Osimhen. It's not Victor Gyökeres. Like, it's not a superstar. It's not Hugo Ekitike where a name is like that. But it's a smart buy. It's a smart sort of look. Look at people whose contracts are ending. Look at people in the last year of deals. See if you can do a deal. See if you can stuff like that. And look at the stats as well. Like, I don't know if anybody's seen the film Moneyball with Brad Pitt, but they went after, their whole model was that going after players whose stats spoke to them, but they weren't necessarily like at the top of the game. They were a bit over the hill and stuff like that. And they just built this team that was ended up becoming champions just around this sort of method. So we need more thinking like that. So I like that thinking. Like, every time I put stuff up on the news, on the comments and stuff, people are like, just go get Osimhen or just go get that. It's just like, they ain't doable. Like, we can't go compete with that. So this kind of thinking I do like. But yeah, the injury worries me. Yeah. It really, really worries me. But yeah, Shreyas, thoughts on Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah, again, a gamble signing, but he is prem proven. He knows the intensity and the pace of the league. So there is that. It's just the injuries that are definitely a big concern because you don't want, another season going in where you're struggling with an injury crisis, and perhaps the only striker could probably have an impact on the pitch is injured, and you're still running with Højlund around. Not going to be a feasible one, but as a backup option, he can definitely, be very, very useful, especially, when you want someone to just come off from the bench, have, cause some chaos, cause some disruption in the other team's rhythm. He's someone who actually, falls very good in that sort of category.
And the last sort of 20 minutes, like, say you need a goal and Onana's
Yeah.
lumping it up, like, you got somebody who can win that ball, knock it down, Bruno's coming in, or Cunha, or whoever in Buemo, say, and they can get involved and, like you said, cause chaos and provide space and stuff like that. I think it would be a really good bench option. Like the way we were looking.
Yeah.
Who was that guy we were going after? I can't remember his name now. I forget. He'll come back to me. But yeah, I think that's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say my two choices initially were Jonathan David and Jimenez, but he went to AC Milan from
Santiago
Feyenoord.
Jimenez, yes, from Feyenoord.
Yeah, he was my other choice because the stats actually spoke really well on them too.
Well,
but
I had Jonathan, I had Jonathan David as well, but like you said, he's gone to Napoli. But yeah, Jonathan David, 23 goals last year, 10 assists. He would have been free as well, clinical finisher. Versatile, so yeah, he would have been a really good option. He's very consistent with his goal scoring record as well, and in Europe, he's 25, so he's at the right age as well, like that. But yeah, he would have been a decent option. Just sort of looking at stats. I know
2-footed as well. He is.
Yeah, I know Nick's not a great fan of his, but again, free option. It's an interesting one.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't. Shreyas, give us your,
just now.
Yeah.
Before you give us your second one, I'm just going to read a couple of comments. Where are we? What's the news on Rashford? There's some Barcelona loans possibly happening, but the sources are a bit iffy, so yeah, I'll wait for somebody more sort of official. Sid the Whistle, afternoon guys, afternoon to you. UK Darren fan, no Delap, get in. People are really happy about Delap not happening, so there you go. Yeah, Shreyas, give us your second one.
I think my second one is also someone who's flown under the radar, but when you do look at him, you get the idea of it. When I think right now, after this season, if everyone hears, Atletico Madrid's best striker, they hear the name Alvarez.
Yes.
Because he's been absolutely sensational for them. But there has been another figure in there who's been very, very decent for them, Alexander Sorloth, and I think, physicality wise, again, someone who's very good aerially. If you're chipping long balls on, he's someone who can get at the end of that. He's someone who falls into that sort of category. And one thing that actually surprised me was that he's played 35 games in the league this season, and he's only started 15 of them, and he's managed to get 22 goal contributions out of it.
So he's got a lot of them off the bench then, coming off the bench.
Yeah, because Alvarez and Griezmann have been starting a lot across all competitions. He's got 24 goals and 2 assists. And again, he's someone who's very, very aggressive inside that box, someone who knows how to impose his physicality on the other centre-backs. And at the same time, he's someone who knows how to work with, destructive wingers. He worked with that sort of category in Villarreal. He's worked with that sort of category, I would say, even in, in Atletico Madrid, when he's had to, accommodate alongside Alvarez, accommodate alongside the likes of Griezmann at times. So, and because they, Atleti have also been playing that sort of a 3 at the back, 5 at the back sort of a system. He is someone who does know his way around. He knows how to act that sort, as that sort of a figure, and wouldn't really hurt because he is also, quoted around 35 or 40 mil.
Yeah.
So if you're getting someone like that, and in the past 2 seasons, he's consistently put in, like past 3 seasons pretty much, he's put up 20 goal contributions on a consistent basis. So if you can get him in, he's like 28 or 29 years old, you get him in for 2 to 3 seasons, he does your job. By the time the situation actually stabilizes for us, when it comes to the rankings, when it comes to Champions League qualification as well, then probably you can take the next step and get someone else in. But right now, because you're in dire need of goals up top, he's someone who can get you goals.
Yeah, I like it. I like this. Man United, you need a scout. Shreyas Singh, get him on it. Get him in scouting for your players. I like it. I know. I've actually heard of this guy. Like, I have seen a couple bits and pieces of him, like on the thing. Again, how old did you say he was?
I think 28 or 29 years old.
Okay, so sort of pushing the late stage of his sort of career. So that would be the one issue. I didn't hear you mention any injuries, so I imagine injury-wise he's pretty good.
He's had 50 appearances this season, 41 before it, 46 before that, and 44 before that. So
perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I like this type of signing where you go after guys who are underutilized at other clubs but are still consistent and still providing goals and assists and stuff like that. And again, no offense to Atleti, but it would be a step up for him coming to Manchester United and sort of proving himself as the starting striker rather than sort of being in the shadow of Julian Alvarez or Anton Griezmann. So yeah, I think he'd relish that sort of idea. But yeah, Adam, thoughts on Soloth?
No, I like that. The stats back it too. He's a good goal scorer. He's a big lad as well. Again, yeah.
Just get in a strapping 6-footer in who looks good in red, and Adam's happy. Adam's
there we go. I moved on from Luke Shaw. That's the sort of man I want now.
Yeah,
I know. Stats look really, really good. Again, no injury, which is already a step up.
Yeah.
Knows where the back of the net is. Good in the air. Yeah, I'd be over that deal, especially for that price range.
Yeah, I like all these deals, like especially for price wise. I think price wise is going to be key for us going into summer, because I do like smart. One of the things, like this was a Hail Mary for me. Like I've got two others that I wanted to chuck in, but a Hail Mary for me was obviously Victor Gyökeres. But I believe if we were to do Victor Gyökeres, I think we'd potentially have to sacrifice not buying Bryan Mbeumo, which potentially might be a mistake, because obviously
right now we need both.
Yeah, we need both, and he's going to cost 50 million. But say you didn't get Bryan Mbeumo, that would then free up a bit of money to go for Victor Gyökeres, for example. So I'm just going to run through his stats because people know who he is. But yeah, this is ridiculous, by the way. 40 goals in 41 appearances. That is insanity. That is insane for anybody, let alone like a guy in Europe. 10 assists as well. Total at Sporting, 82 goals in 90 games. Estimated cost 55 to 60 million. I believe he had a gentleman's release clause about 60 million, I believe, 70 million or something like that. He's played under Amrin before. He's familiar with the system. He knows he'll drop straight in and play. Impressive goal tally. Obviously, he's played in English football before. I think he is the perfect signing. 26 as well. I just think price-wise and the fact that we've got no European football means we'd struggle to bring him in. I think it would be a proper Hail Mary if we were to pull that off, but I think he's the ideal signing.
Tell me, who right now is in pole position? Would it be Arsenal?
Well, apparently I've seen reports that Arsenal are going for Sesko over Gyökeres.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it. Like, you offer Premier League football, okay, but who in Europe would he go to? Like, at the level of our club, say.
Yeah.
Harry Kane's at Bayern Munich. They're not going to sign him at Barca potentially.
Yeah, but how are they going to afford that? Like, they're more broke than we are. So how are they doing that deal?
And
how did they do it every season?
yeah, it's true. That's very true.
I don't see him fitting in that Hansi Flick style of football as well. I know they have Lewandowski in that, but I couldn't see him kind of there. I think the one advantage we have is he likes the coach. The coach gets the best out of him.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a Hail Mary there, but like City aren't going to go for him because obviously they've Haaland. Newcastle, I know I'm showing that name there. They have Isaac right now. They don't want to get rid of him. Liverpool, I don't see him in that kind of style as well under Arne Slot. And if he does there's
been no links.
There hasn't been no links. No.
So it's interesting.
Like, there's all this like talk, like, gentleman's release clause, as you said, in that. But if I think Arsenal are the team, like, they should be all over that deal. That's their made striker. For me, he's our perfect target right now. He literally fits every single, like, I suppose, stat, age, profile. He's a big
lad as well,
how
Adam.
He plays.
He's a big lad.
Yes. And he probably looks good in red too. So, like, you're looking at it like that. It is a bit of a Hail Mary, but I don't see any other big club kind of going for him that way. And people are saying, "Oh, it's the Portuguese league and all this," but a lot of signings have come out of the Portuguese league.
Bruno came out of the Portuguese league.
Bruno. And he came for a similar price, I think, after all the add-ons and everything. And look at the level he's at. Yeah. So we should be all over that deal. We should be, and I think the board know that there is a chance we can. I know it's a Hail Mary in that, but you're going to have to give him, like, I suppose it'd be incentives to score, like bonuses.
Or if we if we get in the Champions League or Europe next season, he gets a wage increase or something like that. Or
exactly. And like I'm all right with that, because you have your ready-made striker then who's worked under the manager, and he's built for the league. the way he is. I know he played only a couple of seasons ago. He was playing in, was it League 1 or 2?
Yeah,
it was
for
quite
Coventry.
low. It was
Coventry.
Yeah, he was playing down the leagues, but like how he went under the radar for so many.
Yeah,
and like this coach has gotten the best out of him. I think it's not as bad as people kind of let it on. I know the links aren't there. He would favour Champions League, but where's he going to get that from other clubs? And I don't think he's going to remain at Sporting after that season.
I think it'd be stupid not to try. Like, I think we have to try and do it. But again, my sort of faith on it, I don't see it happening. But again, United have got to try.
If we are somehow able to offload Garnacho, Rashford, Antony and Sancho at the correct time, then probably that move could be funded. But I think it all depends on how quick we move for him. Because right now, the Mbeumo deal is hanging in the balance as well. The Gyökeres deal, if we move for it, is hanging in the balance as well. You still got, work to do on the wing backs and as well as the midfield department. So exactly. So you've got areas to prioritize. So how much, I think we need to really start getting some work out of outgoings, because still we haven't really heard of anyone leaving for a potential fee. So by that, at least if we get one or two players out the window, we could probably see more aggressiveness from us in the transfer window.
The only other one that I've seen the name sort of dotted around was Jean-Philippe Mateta at Crystal Palace. 17 goals in 42 appearances, so 14 in 34 in the Premier League, 3 in 4 in the League Cup. Obviously, they won the FA Cup, and he set up that goal in the FA Cup as well. Shooting accuracy 48%, so 85 shots on target from 176 attempts, so almost 1 in 2 shots is on target, which is excellent. Does have a bit of a discipline problem. He's got 10 yellow cards this season, so it's a bit of a worry, but no reds, so there is that. FA Cup winner, contributed to the highest ever Premier League points tally for Crystal Palace in 53 points. So he's valued around 30 million, but I'd probably imagine Crystal Palace want a bit more. Maybe they want 40 to 50. He's still got 2 years on his deal as well. So yeah, it's interesting. He does have potential though, so we could go after him, and then Palace use that money because they're obviously in Europe and they use it to reinvest to get somebody else in. So there is that as well. He's very different as well. Like he's a target man option. He's strong. He can bully the defensive line. He's involved in link-up play. Obviously, he's played in the Premier League, so you don't have to worry about that. I think he'd be a really good option as well, and I think it's something a little bit different that you could chuck in as well. But we've seen a few links and stuff like that, but nothing concrete yet. But yeah, I think he could be a good option.
I'm just noticing some stats here. It's out of, like, it's a completely different player. Sorry. I'm sorry, it just popped up there. It did. I was like, "Oh, that looks nice."
It's just like,
but no, Mateta. From what I've seen this season, he's been really good, and it's the hold-up play. And was it Ali McCoist in that FA Cup final? He was saying, "Get it to the big lad. He's holding up everything well." And then they literally do that
on the halfway line. Did he? He did it on the halfway line and then just knocked it wide, and then that was it.
And that's against City defenders too, and some of the best in the league. So, like, he's built for it. And look, they already have somewhat of a red jersey too, so there's that side of it as well.
There you go.
Seems to be the team with me today.
There you go. But, UTFR has said Jonathan Burkhardt. Scroll back, Nathan. Shreyas has already mentioned Jonathan Burkhardt, so scroll back. You can go there. He's going to Arsenal, Madrid. I think he's referring to Gyökeres. And has he been linked to Madrid? I've not seen any.
I haven't seen any links to Madrid, especially like the money that they're very stingy with a bit of cash now.
Where would he play?
Nobody plays with Mbappe.
But yeah, could you imagine?
Someone that's gone under the radar is Patrick Schick.
Yeah, I've not heard much about him.
21 goals this season.
Yeah, he's consistent. He's very consistent.
In the starting 11 this season, and he's been quite decent for them.
Yeah, he's been very consistent. I just remember that Euros goal that he scored, and everybody's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Like, I just remember that. A couple of more comments. Delap could go to Chelsea, sit on their bench. Can you imagine Cunha, Gyökeres, and Mbeumo? Stop, Nathan. I can only get so erect. Don't give me that. Jonathan Burkhardt, 18 goals, 3 assists. Yeah, Shreyas went through that as well. Sorry, mate. No, don't be sorry, Nathan. Like you just got a good eye, like Shreyas says. So there you go. But yeah, that is our strikers list. That is a list of people United could potentially go for. Let us know in the comments who you would like to see or who United think you should go for. I'll put a little poll up on social media with their lad selections, and you guys can pick who you think the winner is.
I know I'm not getting any votes.
Adam is not very confident. Adam's not very confident, but we'll do it anyway. But yeah, thank you everybody in the chat for joining us. We appreciate you. Thank you everybody for watching on later. We appreciate you. It's good to have Adam back on. Thank you for joining us, Adam.
No problem. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Be cool. Last comment, Jockers should be the priority. I agree. I definitely agree. Shreyas, thank you again for being my co-host throughout this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. And we will see you all tomorrow. Peace.